Why is it that you manifest a partner so easily, but you struggle to keep them for long? This is a question that many women, especially those who are spiritual and have been in the manifestation world, find themselves in, which is where you would do the journaling, the scripting, the vision boards, and the affirmations. And you may even visualize your dream partner and his sets of qualities. And soon enough, you find someone like him in the real life, and you guys find yourself really attracted to that person and you get into a relationship. But why is it that this doesn't pan out? Like, why is it that when you eventually do have the relationship, why is it that when you have finally manifested the relationship, the attraction is great, but then fizzles out, or you find it hard to keep on continuing for the long run, right? Why is it that the highs of a romantic relationship, like why are the highs really high in terms of like manifestation, but then the low comes down later and then it crashes, right? Why is it that that person is not the marriage material, the love of your life, but then it just comes out as in like they either you guys stop dating after some time or you guys have conflicts or anything that comes up. Why is it that you can manifest relationships but not long-term relationships? This is the missing gap that you're looking for. And what I have seen is that the reason why this happens, and it's really actually really common, is that when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to law of attraction, many people try to manifest from the highs. So you can see how that looks like, for instance, when you are visualizing, right? People, they tell the manifestation teachers, the gurus, the courses, they may tell you to like visualize and see yourself living your happiest state. And there's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with visualization. But what happens is that we start to hang on to that vision, that you can call that your dream vision. We start to hang on to that and we start to idolize that vision. And this is especially true when it comes to your partner. You may start to visualize them in their highest of the highs. So maybe you visualize them like how they would uh, treat you on a Valentine's Day, or how the wedding is going to be like, right? You start to like really think of just the high highs. But then what happens is that we forget the lows and the mundane. We start to not ignore it, but essentially like we focus so much on the highs that we miss out on connecting to the partner, the energy of your partner in the low. So you may see that whenever you're manifesting, visualizing, scripting, you find yourself in the really high highs of the emotions. Like really high, you feel really happy and excited and joyful, and you find yourself like high in that state. And from that high state, you then attract, right? You then visualize that partner who's also living in that like high state. But what happens is that for a lot of women, especially who are into thinking that, oh, you need to be high vibe all the time, what ends up happening is that we start to look down on the lows. We start to think that, oh, the lows, whenever you're in a low vibration or low emotions, right? When you're feeling sad or down or meh, like it's not a good feeling, right? It's not good. We don't want those yucky feelings, right? This can be a form of spiritual bypassing too. And what happens is that because we are only visualizing and manifesting, trying to attract that partner when we are in the highs. But then when we are in the low, we start to resist that side of us. We start to run away from that side of us, or we don't feel good. And, we try to, like, if, for example, if you find yourself feeling meh or yucky, or that like emotion is like not really good, and you try to affirm your way out of it. You try to think that, oh, I'm living my rich, happy, in love dream life. Like, you start to use your visualizations as a way to escape from that low, mundane, ordinary living reality. Then what happens is that we start to idolize that high state. And the same thing when we do manifest our partner, we also idolize them. We also start to only picture him in the high state, and how they would treat us, how they would be with us in the high state, right? And so basically what's happening is that we start to really only cling on to the highs and not in the lows. And you will find that for some time it works. Like, I'm not saying that it doesn't work. Yes, visualization is like really powerful. Your subconscious is really powerful. It's the creation process is happening through it. And what will then end up happening is that you find yourself in that high state where you find yourself like, oh, excited when you do meet that partner, like that you guide into that like emotional highs, really strong attraction phase. You find yourself really drawn to him. The chemistry is great, right? The sparks are high, and you find yourself in that high state. And for a few months or so, the relationship can happen based on these highs. But however, because you haven't connected to him through the lows, through the dirt, the dirt or the earthy, that grounded energy, then what happens is that, of course, as time continues and the relationship also continues with that partner, what ends up happening is that our deeper down, low emotional states, they start to come out. So the emotions like anger, or maybe it's control issues, or maybe these are insecurities, right? All these insecurities, all these things that we think are low vibration, that we keep pushing down further and further down, they start to come out. And what happens is that we then are in that relationship with that partner that you have manifested, but then we don't know how to connect to him during those times. Like, for instance, if you find yourself having insecurities, you may find that maybe your partner is not really attracted to you, or maybe you find that maybe they are interested in someone else, where you start to doubt yourself. And the same way, if you have like control or issues or anger issues, you may find yourself like lashing out on your partner, and then that's when like the real phases of a relationship we start to truly encounter then. But then that's when the disconnect happens. That's when we don't know how to connect with them anymore, which is the reason why, if you want to manifest lasting love, not just a situationship, not just a long term, not just a short term, not just like dating phase, but actually a lasting love, then we want to not just connect to him, but connect most importantly to ourselves in our emotional lows, in the emotional dirt phases, I call them. We want to feel grounded in that. We want to feel rooted in that. We want to be able to know how to connect to your heart, which leads to connecting to someone else's heart during those phases. Whenever you're not feeling good about yourself, or whenever you're not feeling good about your life, or whatever these situations may be, like when we are in the lows, that's when actually we want to most deeply connect. And this, my love, is where the energy of your long lasting, the real life partner is found, because he is just not there for you to ride with you on the highs. He is here to be with you, whether you are in the highs or the lows, and all the ways in between. And that is also where we want to focus on the most, where we want to treasure, where we want to actually stabilize and know that you are available and capable of love at all vibrational states, not only in the highs, but also in the lows and everything in between.